Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And what we're going to work on is adding the side rails to our build. So I have a piece of 8151. This one I'm going to use for this 1/32 scale car, which is good enough. This is perfect. I don't want to use all of this. I'm probably going to use maybe, let's say, 10 centimeters of it. That'd be about 4 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip this out of here. And you want to be careful when you take this out not to, peel it too hard, because you could bend this and then you'll have a crooked frame and, an issue with the car. So what I would do is get a piece of, X-Acto blade, and kind of slice the plastic off of it like that, and peel it out of here, because it is got plastic on it right about there. And sometimes it can be a little bit tough to remove, and again, you don't want to be rough with it because you don't want to bend it. So as soon as you got that, pull that out, and there you go. So this is 8151, and what I'm going to do is going to measure it. So I said 4 inches. That's where I'm targeting my rails to be of length. And if you need to go longer, you feel you need to go longer, that's fine also. So I'll just go a little bit more just in case. So I'll mark right here is my cutting point. Right, and then I'll do it again a little bit longer, say 4 and an eighth or something like that. Just a little bit more longer, just to have a little extra as a backup. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the chop saw downstairs and chop these. And I have a little chop saw that you could get from Harbor Freight. And what it does is just basically go down there and hack this off. So we'll head over there and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so here's a little Harbor Freight chop saw you could get. And it's for small things like this. It's nothing elaborate or anything fancy, but it does the job. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get down where I marked. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And cut where I need to cut. And I'll line up the saw where I need it. Of course, wear safety glasses and all those things you need to protect your eyes. I'm going to put it down here. Check it, and that's where I want it. So here's my first piece. I'm going to go and do my second piece. Again, I'm going to make sure my saw is lined up where I'm going to cut. And that's good right there. Let's start with the second piece. There you go, and you're done. All right, I lost my mic, so hopefully you can hear me pretty good through the iPhone microphone. So I have these cut, as you can see, and what I'm going to do is trim them, kind of get all rid of the rough edges. And just get a little sandpaper, go on each one corner. And you can go like this. You could use a file, whatever is easier. See, you're just making that, cleaning it up, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. You'll be, have time to clean this. You always want to clean your brass, because clean brass is happy brass, as they say. So you want to clean all this off. I always recommend cleaning it all off, because it's just better that way to ensure that the solder is going to do its job and fuse itself to the motor bracket into your guide tongue. And what's great about this is that the guide tongues that Saw Car Corner provides in the kit, or if you buy it separately, fits in between these perfectly with the motor bracket. And when you get your rails in here, all that off there. And as you can see, I'm going to put these right here. I'm going to do is pin these, and you could also check with the body and see where you're at, which we're in a pretty good spot there. I think we won't be too bad. Move that back a little, actually. And so you can see right there, I got plenty of room. That's good, because you want the guide obviously inside the body. That's your best place to put it. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is grab a guide tongue, which I have right here. And what we're going to do is pin this up against here to make sure we're, in position when we solder. And I'm going to pin like that. and get that all settled in there. See, nice and snug in there. Then you want to be careful that you don't want this sticking out too much. Obviously, if it's far too out, then you're going to have this protruding out of the body. So see how that looks. That's not going to be a good idea to do that. You want to hide the guide, so we're going to push it probably almost all the way back to where those two pins are at, and you get an idea where your guide is going to be at, and see where it's at in there. That's pretty much hidden pretty good in there. That should be good. Now it depends on the type of guide you're going to use. Now with the Stock Car Corner kit, it comes with the commercial guide, which is a very kind of a large one. I don't tend to use that one, but you can. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't make a difference really as far as the performance of the car. I just prefer using the little one. But if you do use the big one, let me get it here because I think it's over here. I got some stuff in the way here. And these ones right here, which are the Coford ones that come with it. And you're going to find this is going to protrude out more. It's a fairly big guide. So when you get it in there, you're going to have very little room. And that's the deal with this. With these a little bit. With a smaller car, this tends to be a little bit tougher. Now, see, it would be centered right about there. So then your guide would be sticking out about right there, which it'll interfere with the bumper depending how low you have it. But since this is a small car, there is an alternative, and I'll show you. So, I mean, if you run into that, you could always save the guide from the kit and use it on a larger car, or save it for something else. It's not the end of the world. Now you could do this extra step, which I'll show you later on, which is what I usually do with most of my cars anyway. Not that I have nothing against the Coford guide. The Coford guide's a good guide. It just sometimes I just don't use it as much. In this case, excuse me, this is a small vehicle. This is a short-bodied car. If you had like a Chevelle, you'd probably get away with it, the other ones. But see, I can't move this back any further, so it just, you know, just depends. You could probably make the guide work, but then you'd have to chop the bumper off. So this way, if it is sticking out a teeny bit, which it's not a big deal if it protrudes out a teeny bit. I've had it on some cars where that's happened, but you kind of want to get it hidden as most as possible, which is fine, you know, that's best you can. But since this car is a short car, obviously you cannot hide it as easily. So with that being said, I'll go over that later when we progress in the build. But that fits in there pretty good, and we have plenty of room, looks like, with our guide. So I think we'll be fine all the way back there. So that's where I'm going to select to keep it. Now, keeping this flush when you solder, you do want to make sure this is flat. You can lay weight over here. You can do different things. And you can see this looks cantered off. So that's one thing I don't like. You see how cantered that is? It's going this way. Because that's why I put this line in the center, because it's in the center of this, and you can see it's not in the center of that. So we're this way, a little schwangy. I don't know why. So we're going to correct that by moving it over and correcting that just a little bit more to this side here, and make sure that is more centered. We go a little bit more, maybe just like that, and then we'll pin it. Now we're a lot straighter. That's important. You want to make sure that you are in the correct area there. Now that looks better. You can see that's why I put this line, and you can put this line by counting the outside holes, right? So if you count all these outside holes, and then you get the middle number, you know, divide it by 2, and you get the one that's in the center, and then you draw a line. Same thing to here, and you get a ruler, large ruler, and draw your line. You can do other lines like across. It's up to you. That's what's nice about this board. You can drop on it, and they're not very expensive. Once you've used it all up, you could throw it out and get another one. It's, you know, either get it through Stock Car Corner or Amazon. It's up to you. But you can see right here, we're lined up with the guide and the motor shaft. Everything's straight. And that's, you want to make sure that's the way it is, you know, nice and straight. This way it's not like, you know, going off to one side. So now we have everything laid down good. Everything's flush. Again, you can put some weight on here if you want to keep it from moving, but usually I don't have that problem. For now, they're pinned pretty good where they're at. I could do some more pinning to make sure nothing else moves. Like if this moves forward, you could pin right here on the front of these rails. Right there, like that. And one right here. You just want to keep everything steady when you solder. That's real important. And I'm going to leave that for now the way it is, like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder right here. And this is the important part where you have to be patient. You also want to make sure this is flush down too, because what happens, this helps keeps this bracket down more. Because when you have the bracket by itself, and you've seen on the last video I did one that way, and you have to be careful this doesn't move, because this, not having this on here as like a counterweight in a way to keep it straight or flush, this will tend to move around as you solder. So that's why it's good to leave the motor in place. You could use an old motor, or old S-cam motor. If you have the motor from the kit in your first time, you could do that. Later on, you could, you know, if you end up trashing a motor, you could use it for building, and that's what I've done with this one. This is an older motor. It went, you know, that's just something I had lying around because I had so many motors lying around. So I had this one, and that's what I do to keep this from moving, this motor bracket. So this all stays nice and together. So what we're going to do is we're going to solder next. And remember, your extra pieces you always want to save and put away, because you never know when you're going to need it for something. And with the slot car corner kit, you actually get a piece like this, because this will be your front axle. And we're going to solder the rails onto the motor bracket and the guide tongue. So we're going to get that here, get our stuff together, and we're going to get our solder, get our flux, and all this together. And you see I have a brand new mat here, as you noticed. The other one was a couple years old and it needed to be changed. You could get these silicone mats from Amazon. They're called soldering mats, silicone soldering mats. So you could actually solder on this stuff if you want. It won't, you know, burn through it. But I just like it because it's got little places you could put things. And the last one, it had so much crap all over it that it needed to be changed. So it's pretty old. So now we have everything we need here. We're going to get our solder and our brush. And we're going to put some right there. Make sure you get that full of solder. And what we're going to do is make sure this is hot, which is ready to go. And we're going to clean that up. And what we're going to do is, as I get around my camera here, we're going to get some solder. And hopefully you can see this up close. And we're going to get some solder here. And what we're going to do is we're going to let the heat work its way into this. So hear it sizzle, and what you're going to do is let it sit there and just leave it till it heats up. And you will be able to see the solder flow behind there, which I'm trying to do by this camera, which is a little tough because I'm trying not to get my head in the way. And I just keep heat on it. And the trick is to heat up everything, including the motor bracket and the the rail you're putting on the 8151 brass. And we're going to solder that. The key again is to take your time. Seeing now it's starting to move along the side of the bracket and the motor. So, and I'm trying to watch it over here, which is a little tough to do. And I can see it from here now. And we add a little bit more just to flow a little more, but all right. So what I'm going to do is get a bit more of the flux, like that. Continue it more solder, and let it do its job. I'm trying to see if it's moving back there. It's tough to do this on camera because I'm trying to make sure I do not get in the way. I can't see. Move this over here. All right. See, now it's starting to flow more, as you can see that it's all melting. So it looks like, yeah, it looks like it's getting back where it needs to go. I see it. Looks like it's done its job. Again, you gotta take your time to put the heat on it. See, even the motor's getting hot, which is good because you're heating the whole piece up. And don't worry about all this right here. It's not going to disbobulate unless you leave it on there for like a whole half hour, and everything will start really getting, you'll see everything sweating away and starting to come off. But there you go. And we could see if that's moved by taking this off. Ah, that's hot. And yep, it has traveled. You can see it off the back there and soldered like it should. So we're in good shape. Nothing to it. And then we can check the front here. And we look okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check, put some more flux here. And what I'm going to do is check to make sure this is a little bit not as moved. Sometimes you want to make sure this is flush too. That's why, again, you add weight, it's probably going to move a little. And you could always get a piece of, excuse me, get a file and then just put pressure like this also, just to make sure it's down even there. And not cantered. This car is really small, that's why I can't really put a big weight on there. I do have a larger weight, and I usually put it on there, but I need to find something else. Other people put straps, you know, around this, or you know, maybe a piece of wood to compress it, but we're good right here. If you're a first-time builder, I don't want to get people too riled up over this. As long as this is on here and you got it soldered and you feel it's, you know, it's in a good position where it's at, and you're fine. And I'm going to check it there. That's pretty good right there. See, it's lying flat, and that's what you want. You want it to be as flat as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. As long as you got it on there, everything's straight, I mean, you're good. And then what we're going to do is do the other side. Do the same thing. We're going to have to let this get hot, though this may be hot already a little bit from the other side. Then we're going to get our solder again. Let me clean this here. The camera will be moving because I'm going around it with what I'm doing here. And we're going to make a little sizzle sound. And what I could do is just push this down like that, hold it, make sure it isn't like picking up, and watch for the solder to move, which is hard to see on camera. You're gonna look at the back of the motor bracket, and you can see solder start wicking toward the back and soldering everything in place. And moving along here. And if it doesn't, you can take it off, put more flux, and then do it again, because you're getting the thing all heated up. So eventually it will work its way back there. Oops, slipped there. It's starting to move now. Yep, there it goes. All right, I'm going to do is add a little bit more flux, because I want it to move a little bit more. Get a teeny bit of solder again. Yeah, slip in there. All right, there it goes. Now it's working back its way the way I wanted to do it. There you go. That's it. All right. Get the camera too close to the table here. Okay. Dry off. Let it go. Here we go. There's the other rail. Here we go. Take that off. It's gonna be hot. Hot. Yeah. There we go. There your rails. All right. Looks pretty peachy. We're okay. And what we're gonna do next, we like where we have that at, where I like where I have that at, and I'm gonna clean do the guide tongue, but first let me slip this out, and I'm gonna clean it first, you know, scuff it. Even though it's clean and brand new, you still want to put a little scuff on it. And we'll roll it back in there again. There we go. We're gonna go all the way back there because that's fine where we're at. Now we have that done, we're gonna put some flux here. And again, you got to get this all heated up. So this is where you have to, you know, really get things hot and to move all along there. Get our soldering iron. Let me move this over here. And so I'm wrapped around the camera tripod. Good job, George. Clean that off. And get. You could do this if you want to. If you want to put it like that, and then just there you go. You gotta get this all hot. Remember, work it in there. See, it's starting to get. See how it's starting to get right there. Perfect. See, I'll just run it down here, and up like that. And there. We have a nice. See how that flows nicely. And I'm gonna make sure that's flushed down. I do this. There we go. Soldering iron and your solder, and just letting the iron do the work and everything else for you, because that's what the ticket is. The patience and letting the heat and the flux do the job with the solder. And I'm going to get, first I'll clean that off. And clean this off as much as you can. Just a nice clean iron. The tip, and we'll do that again. Like that. Hold that down, just make sure that's. See, this is working quicker because it's been heated up from the other side. And you're just letting all this just start to get all like a chrome color, as you could see. And you can turn it like that. Come back this way. Like that. There you go. And she be on there, boys. And pick it up to see if everything underneath has worked its way, of course. That may be still hot. And you can see all this right here. A little warm. See all that? It's all worked there in there perfectly the way it should. The bottom here, maybe a little bit off there a little bit. I may have to heat it up again, which is no big deal. I could put it on. See, it didn't work that much there. A teeny bit. It's kind of spotty. But over here, it looked like it covered it. But what we could do is add some more heat and run it through there. Though it's hard to tell, man. I'm trying to look at that. But, hey, it's no big deal. Again, that's why you know, put everything back where you had it. I'm going to just put more. And just get this to work back there some more. You could also do this if you feel you could stick this in here. It should be able to grab it too and melt it. And get a little bit there. And let it work its way. Again, all the way back. See, it's getting hot. Yep. Again, it's patience. You see it going back there. There we go. We'll let it go. All right. I think we're okay there. Then we'll go to the other side where I feel it needs a little bit more. And we'll do that back here. Get some more solder. Come back this way with it. Let's see, we'll put the solder right here. More there. And now it's flying back there. Holy smokes. Looks like I went leaping through there. Do this, hold this down a little, just in case it moves. Yeah, well, that really did the trick there. Usually easier to do the next side because it's been heated from the first side you done, and then you're good. All right. There we go. See how it gets unshiny? That means it's cooling off. You want to wait a few seconds, wait 5 to 10 seconds just to be safe, and then you should be able to get your iron off, you know, after you pull your iron off. There we go. So now we'll check the underneath of it again, and there you go. That's better. Hope I don't burn myself doing this for you guys. See what I mean? See how you see all that there? That's satisfactory to me. I'm happy with that. And there you go. And so there's your side rails. You're just assuring that everything went through underneath and sealed, you know, the solder's penetrated everywhere. And we're in good shape there. That's awesome. Cool. Put our front wheels back on. So we can continue a little bit more. Why not? You guys, that may be too much actually. I'll go like that. My soldering iron is making noise because I'm moving it around because it's going to sleep mode, and I'm taking it out as I move it around. And that's 1428. So a little bit off still, and you have to line it up that way. Get it close as you can, because remember, you're going to use shims too. If you're off a little, that's what shims hurt, you know, help, excuse me, not hurt, help. If you're off just a tad bit, and you could move this, you know, over if you have to with a shim, you know, later on if it's like not perfect. Again, you're trying to get as close as you can. I know you don't want to be hung up too much on that. I mean, you're building your first car, you're trying to build it to get it square as possible. But if you find that you find one side's just a little bit off, a 10,000 shim, a 20,000 shim, that's not a big deal, okay? It'll work. I'm just trying to not overcomplicate it, not you to get to yourself to be much of a perfectionist. And as you can see, everything moved over too, but that's okay. You can see everything slid over here. So what we'll do is we'll reposition the chassis again. So I'll take these off, and because I had to solder the back part. 1426. Oh, looks like we have it there, huh? Man, that moved. 1405. That's a little bit. Actually, 1415. So that's pretty much, I think, the closer we're gonna get. You know, again, that's fine if it's off a little. My God, it's not the end of the world. Don't kick yourself. You just want to get it as close as possible. Again, you know, if you need to add a little shim in here, I know I say it a lot, but your ruler. So say you want to go the length of the to here is about 3.5 centimeters, 1.5 inches, a little over 1.5 inches. Actually, under 1.5 inches there. So you could do this also. Come here, and where you're gonna bend, you can mark like right there, so you can get your marker. If you want to do it that way, and just mark here, and then you know where your mark's at. Get the fat end on this, because there you go. There you go, right there. You can mark it like that too if you want. See, there you go. When you're done in the end, when you're done with the chassis. So I'm going to go to my mark there, and I'm going to bend this like that. There you go. Well, go right here. You're going to solder that right there. Then what you want to do is clean these off, right? Clean them off real good. Get everything clean. Just like that. All right. Here you go. Nice and clean. Now what I usually like to do, and I know this seems kind of weird me doing it this way, but you shouldn't, it doesn't burn your hand, leave it, just leave it on there all day. What I like to do is put right there some flux, And it's going to be tricky because I'm holding this and I'm using my left hand. I'm going to get my soldering iron. All right, and let me get a little solder. It's telling me it's ready to go. And what I'm going to do is put a little right there. I'm just like tacking, like when you, I don't know if you guys welded well before I weld, when you tack weld. So I'm just tacking it. See, it moved right there because it's stuck to the axle, so that's fine. So I've got this like stuck on there so it stays in the position, because it's hard to solder this part right here and then have this on the tube. So that's why I do it on the tube first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder the rest of this wire right here. All right, keep moving this around like a dummy. All right, I'm going to solder that wire there, and I'm going to get again flux right through there. Get my soldering iron. Let this get hot. Like I said, that's where you got to be patient with this. Because you got solder from part of where you soldered the guide tongue on. Just gonna let everything get hot. It takes a little time. Like I said, you got to be really patient with this. Add some more solder right there if you want. Let me see, it's starting to get like chrome color because it's getting real hot because you're pulling everything. It's starting to flow when you do that. You see, it needs more time. It takes more time to heat up everything all together. Oh, somebody's calling me. There we go. Like that. All the way back here. Yep, wire's moving now. Yeah, darn you. Heat the wire itself. There it goes. A little more solder. Moving around because the axle's tipping it up. There we go, see? All the way through there. There you go. There's that. So that's what you're going to do 4 different times. So you're going to do that on the inside, and you'll do one on the outside. So we'll do an outside one. So we want this a little longer now. So we'll want to mark it ahead of the axle, right, front of it. So we'll go right here, like that, right? Of course, you're gonna cut off a little bit more of that so you have a point, which we could always chop off, because you're gonna chop those off anyway. Like that, because that we could cut off. That's not a big deal. You leave that protruding out, that's fine. It's not gonna, you know, harm anything. You're just make it a little long so you can make a longer point so you can grab it here. And then we're gonna bend it R90. All right, like that. 90. We're gonna clean it. Clean this wire good. Wire is real dirty. There you go. Then what we're gonna do is put this here, right? You can position it. That shit's hot too. Wherever you want to position it. Let that cool down. But you get what I'm saying. So we can put it there and then solder it there. I have some what's called I don't know what the heck I do with it. Oh yeah, I do. Here, some sutures. I forgot you call these like suture holders. I forget the damn name of them. So I'm gonna do this. Okay, this will probably be better. So I have it right there. So now, sometimes these little tools come in handy that you need to use to make things easier, life easier. Okay, and then I'm going to hold it there, and then I'm going to solder it. And work its way there. Okay, here we go. Got it. Got it. Okay, work back there. Ah, darn you. Alright, it's okay. Popped up a little bit, we're alright. And again, you know, leave it here and you'll see it flow to the front. There you go. That, there you go. See? And then soldered on there. Just like that. And there's your start of your axle. So, okay, there you go. You have everything soldered in there. A little bit crooked, not a big deal. I mean, you could always straighten them out if you need to, but to me, nobody's going to be looking underneath the chassis as long as it's holding the axles straight, you know, itself flat, and it's holding it up. It's fine. And then you can chop these off when you're pretty much done with doing the other stuff that needs to be done, like the body mounts will be next. And then the last stuff you cut is the tube and these off, which is not a big deal. So there you have it. That is everything right there. For this, you know, part of the video. You can get your flap lock if you want your, and there you go. And you could check right there. And nice and flat, right? Nice and flat, no issue. Flat there, you're flat. See, you're good. It's good. And the wheels right here, everything's nice and flat. There's no cantering, like it's not teetering like on one side. It's nice and flat right there on everything. There you go. Now you know you're in good shape. And now the next part will be is we'll put the body mounts on the next video. We'll explain body mounts and do that part. So there it is. That's the chassis so far. Next video we'll do body mounts and then the tube, and I'll explain that. So I hope you enjoyed this segment. As always, you take care and have fun racing.